Hi everyone, it's Claudio from CM Vox Vision. I've been scrolling through YouTube and honestly, I'm tired. One video says Trump is against free speech. The next one says Starmer is against free speech. Back and forth, non-stop. So where's the truth? That's what this video is about. No spin, no clickbait, no agenda. Just a clear look at what the law says in the USA versus the UK, and how Trump and Starmer actually fit into those systems. Because free speech shouldn't be about who shouts the loudest online, it's about what rights you really have and where the limits are. So let's cut through the noise and find out together who is truly for free speech and who is just pretending. When it comes to the debate over free speech, few topics spark as much confusion, controversy and contradiction as the comparison between the United States and the United Kingdom. Politicians and pundits invoke the concept of free speech as a rallying cry, but the truth behind these claims is rarely as clear-cut as the headlines suggest. To understand where the real boundaries lie, it's essential to peel away the noise and look at the systems themselves, the laws, the courts, and the practical application of free expression on both sides of the Atlantic. Let's start with the big picture. In the United States, free speech is famously enshrined in the First Amendment to the Constitution. This short but powerful provision guarantees that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. Over centuries, this promise has evolved into one of the world's most robust legal shields for speech. The government's ability to restrict expression is severely limited. Only a handful of exceptions apply. Incitement to imminent lawless action, true threats, obscenity, and a few others. Importantly, it's the courts, not politicians or regulators, who decide where those lines are drawn. This separation of powers is crucial. When politicians test the boundaries of free speech, the judiciary steps in to defend constitutional rights, ensuring that even unpopular or controversial speech is largely protected from government interference. Across the Atlantic, the United Kingdom takes a different approach. There's no First Amendment, and instead, freedom of expression is protected under Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, as well as domestic law. But these protections come with more strings attached. Parliament and regulators have the authority to place broader restrictions on speech, especially when it comes to issues like hate speech, terrorism, harassment, and online offences. The UK legal framework is fundamentally more flexible, prioritising harm reduction and social cohesion over absolute freedom. So what does this mean in practice? Let's look at two recent leaders who have shaped the debate: Donald Trump in the USA and Keir Starmer in the UK. During his time in office, Trump took a complex approach to free speech. On paper, the constitutional framework remained strong. No sweeping federal laws were passed that fundamentally curtailed lawful speech. Yet Trump's rhetoric and actions often tested the boundaries. He labelled critical media outlets as enemies of the people, attempted to pressure social media platforms over content moderation, and famously blocked critics from his official Twitter account. The courts were quick to intervene, ruling that blocking critics on a government-run account violated the First Amendment. This episode illustrates a vital point. The US system is designed to protect speech, even when government leaders push against those protections. Ultimately, the courts act as a check, ensuring that constitutional rights are upheld regardless of who holds office. In the UK, Keir Starmer's approach is more nuanced. He has publicly stated his support for free speech, but always with a caveat: there must be limits, especially when it comes to online safety and protection from serious harms. The Online Safety Act 2023 is a clear example of this philosophy in action. The Act imposes new duties on digital platforms, requiring them to remove illegal content and take steps to reduce the risks of harm. UK law also criminalises certain types of speech more readily than the US. Hate speech, harassment, and material related to terrorism are all subject to tighter restrictions. Here, the emphasis is on balancing expression with harm prevention, giving the state wider levers to regulate speech in the interest of protecting individuals and These differences highlight a central insight. In the United States, your free speech rights are anchored in the Constitution and interpreted by the courts. Politicians may posture, but the First Amendment sets a high bar for any restrictions. In the UK, the legal framework is more dynamic. Parliament and regulators have greater discretion to adjust the boundaries of acceptable speech, reflecting changing social norms and the perceived need to prevent harm. So, who is truly for free speech? The answer lies less in the personalities of individual leaders and more in the structures of their respective governments. The US constitutional model is structurally more pro-speech, offering broad protections regardless of who is in power. Even when leaders like Trump challenge the limits, the legal system is built to defend expression against overreach. In the UK, the situation is more fluid. Leaders may express support for free speech, but the law allows active regulation, especially online, at a level that would be unthinkable under the US model. It's important to note that neither Trump nor Starmer campaigned on a platform of censorship. Both have expressed their commitment to free speech, though their actions and policies reflect the realities of their respective legal systems. In the United States, the conversation about speech often centers on the protection of unpopular or controversial views. The idea that the right to express dissent, criticism, or minority opinions is fundamental to democracy. In the UK, the focus shifts to balancing individual rights with collective safety, acknowledging that unrestricted speech can sometimes cause tangible harms. This divergence is especially evident in the realm of online speech. In recent years, both countries have faced challenges related to misinformation, hate speech, harassment, and the spread of harmful content on digital platforms. In the US, the First Amendment places strict limits on what the government can do to regulate online expression. Content moderation is largely left to private companies, with legal protections like Section 230 shielding platforms from liability for user-generated content. Efforts to change these rules have sparked intense debate, but the constitutional baseline remains firm. In the UK, the government has taken a more hands-on approach. The Online Safety Act, for example, empowers regulators to require platforms to remove illegal content and take proactive steps to protect users. Failure to comply can result in significant penalties. This model reflects a broader willingness to intervene in the digital space, prioritizing the prevention of harm over unfettered expression. Ultimately, the question of who is for free speech can't be answered simply by looking at individual leaders or political rhetoric. The US system, with its constitutional protections and independent courts, offers the widest legal latitude to speak, even when that speech is unpopular or controversial. The UK model, rooted in parliamentary sovereignty and flexible statutes, allows for tighter boundaries in the name of public safety and social harmony. For anyone seeking the broadest possible freedom to express themselves, the US approach stands out as the most protective. But that protection comes with its own challenges, as society grapples with the consequences of unregulated speech. In the UK, the emphasis on harm reduction may limit some forms of expression, but it reflects a different set of priorities, one that places greater value on safeguarding individuals from abuse and ensuring that public discourse remains civil and inclusive. So when you hear debates about free speech, whether sparked by Trump, Starmer, or the latest social media controversy, remember that the truth lies in the systems themselves, not just in the words of politicians. The structures of law, the role of the courts, and the balance between freedom and responsibility all shape the boundaries of expression. In the end, the real question is not just who supports free speech, but how each country defines and defends it, day in, day out, for everyone.